As we say goodbye to some critical leaders in our districts, we get to welcome our next speaker who focuses on building leadership and investing all of us that have been inspired by those that have gone before us in our journey to leadership. Our next speaker is Harold Osmundson. He's a lifelong student of leadership and a constant learner. He believes leadership is one of the few skills worth devoting a lifetime to master. His leadership experience includes military service, professional work, and nonprofit volunteer service. Harold has been an enthusiastic member and leader of Toastmasters International. In fact, he led one of the largest Toastmaster districts in 2017 and 2018. Most recently, Harold stepped up to serve as the International Director for Toastmasters, International Board of Directors from 2020 to 2022. And now he's serving and leading during the pandemic. He said that is one of his greatest honors and an opportunity to contribute to society during a challenging time. Please help me welcome Harold Osmundson.
Thank you very much for that great introduction, and thank you for being here and allowing me to share a message and a topic of leadership with you here for about 20 minutes or so. I want to make sure I keep us on time. I'll do my best with that. I want to thank also Kay, Kathy, Jim for making this happen and giving me the opportunity to be here. And finally, I want to thank you, Rotary, the Rotarians, for all you do. Every time I've come in contact with Rotary and Rotarians, I'm always inspired by the giving that's done for the community and to the world, and it makes me think I need to do more of that. So thanks for being an inspiration. This topic in this talk is really about leadership, a journey into leadership. And that's perhaps multiple forms that we could talk about that. It's not my journey into leadership, but maybe in 20 minutes we can talk about a survey of leadership or a journey into it, if you will, that might maybe help you in your journey of leadership, however you're leading today and in the future, wherever you're at in life. And with that, I've given away the answer a little bit, but maybe think about this for a moment. What are the skills that make a difference over a lifetime? What if you spend a lifetime devoting yourself to developing, skills-wise, will make a big difference in your life? You probably come up with several, maybe a handful. Two of them that came to mind to me were the ability to communicate with others and the ability to lead others. And that's a big fit of why I devoted so much to Toastmasters. I felt that was exactly what I needed and what the world needs. And this talk isn't really about communication. Toastmasters is always there for you. We have a great alliance with Rotary. And if you're interested in joining a club, we have a member in Thunder Bay who is creating, a Rotarian who is creating a club. If you're interested in Toastmasters and how it might benefit you, just reach out to me after this. But the other item, I think, is leadership. Our ability to lead others, to influence others in every area of our life can make a difference in our life. It can open doors, and the unwillingness or inability to lead others can close doors as well. So it's worth spending time to master that and to devote that as a journey. So in this short session, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the basics of leadership from my point of view, what it takes to be a phenomenal leader, or what are the attributes of a phenomenal leader, and then, well, how do we achieve great leadership where we are? So why did I talk about leadership? I gave that a little bit away. Well, here's one story. In 2016, I was heading home from vacation, nice warm weather vacation, heading back to Minnesota. I downloaded a Audible book, Extreme Ownership by Leif Babin and Jocko Willink. And I said, well, this, if nothing else, it'll put me to sleep on the plane. This book was about Navy SEALs explaining to I guess, us, the civilian world, the principles for leadership. And there was this story from the Navy SEAL training, the difficult, demanding training, where they had these teams, boat crews, if you will, and they had races and competitions throughout the training. And of all the teams, one team always came in first, and the other team always came in last. And so, to vet the leaders a little bit of those teams, the instructors said, well, let's switch the two. The best team's leader goes to the worst team. The worst team's leader goes to the best team. What do you think happened? All of a sudden, the results changed. The team that was underperforming was always winning the races going forward. There's a surprising bit that the other team, they didn't start losing. They still did pretty good without the leader. But I was just blown away by that. And I thought there has to be something else to say to explain that. What happened? Why did, when we took the leader of the best team, we put him on the worst team, why did that worst team all of a sudden become the best team? I thought the performance was something about the players. It had nothing to do with the leader. But no. And we see this over and over and over and over. Leadership makes the difference. If anything, I think it's the leader that makes the difference or has the opportunity to make the difference. And I started seeing that again over and over and over. There was a saying in the book that can be taken the wrong way. And let's not use this to beat up people or ourselves. No bad teams, only bad leaders. And I really do believe that is true. Every team has an opportunity to be great, and the leader has an opportunity to make the team great going forward. Stanley McChrystal, retired general, said, switch just two people from the best to the worst, and in 90 days, you'll see the results flip as well. I didn't believe it, but I see it over and over. And for a local team, maybe not everybody's favorite, but I watched them quite a bit. I saw a huge difference this last season. What changed? I think the coach changed. Players stayed largely the same. We had some good acquisitions, but there was something that was different. All of a sudden, the attitude might have changed. There was a little bit more belief. We started to see some miraculous fourth quarter comebacks. Leader deserves a lot of credit. It works. So let's go back to some basics really quick. What's leadership? You get all sorts of different types of explanations for what leadership is, and I don't know that there's one that's wrong, but I'll just provide one that I think kind of covers it all. When we lead, when we display leadership, we are influencing others' attitudes and behaviors. That's it. And so an effective leader can influence others, and someone who's having a tough go of it is probably having a difficult time influencing others. And we can use any style, a million ways to influence others. For some, maybe they're tall, they have a deep voice. For others, they have great integrity. They get the job done. Each of us has some way of influencing others. And just like golf, it's not really a good use of time to compare your swing to someone else's. You just work on your swing. And sometimes we have some bad swings, bad shots, bad rounds. Sometimes the course doesn't work for us or work towards our style. But I think you just use your style and refine it over the course of a lifetime so that you can use what you have to influence others in a positive way, just like golf. Well, what's required to lead, to influence others? Think about that for a moment. What would be your top three? Here were mine. The first thing, and I think it's the ticket to admission to be a leader, minimum requirement. Integrity. You have to have a moral compass. It's true you can lead without integrity or without a moral compass, but I don't think it's the right way to go. And I would disqualify anyone that didn't have it. Number two, the ability to lead yourself. It's the first person that we lead. We display self-leadership by being organized, by showing up on time, having an agenda. The little things that we display over and over and over. And when we can lead ourselves effectively, then I think we kind of earn the right, the ability, and perhaps the opportunity to lead others, because we probably are at that point anyway. We're probably already influencing them. And the final item is the willingness to make a contribution towards more than yourself, to be responsible for the well-being and the success of others, the success of a team or a group of people. Those three, I think you make a pretty good leader. Simon Sinek said it well. The cost of leadership is self-interest. If you're not willing to give up your perks when it matters, then you probably shouldn't get promoted. You might be an authority in that area, but you will not be a leader over time. Leadership comes at a cost, and the cost is usually our own ambitions. We sacrifice ourselves for the good of the group, and we see that over and over, whether it's a club, a team at work, or other types of service. There is a price, and that can be hard for high achievers. Now, we talked about the minimum requirements, but what makes a great leader? Can you think of a couple of behaviors? 3, maybe. I'll share my 3 in a moment. What do you think are your 3? Here's number 1. To be super effective, it's about vision. It's about us communicating to others, where are we taking them? Where are we going? You can think about candidates for office, any organization, maybe for our country. I think they have to have a vision, because that's kind of what I vote for more than the actual individual itself. This quote from a while ago kind of had it right when it came to vision. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men or the people to gather wood, divide the work, and give orders. That's project management. That's more management. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. Give them a vision about what they could benefit by going in the direction of you, by signing on. What about some other leaders that have taken us somewhere? I think of JFK, who said, among many things, we are going to the moon in this decade, not because it's easy, but because it's hard and it'll bring out the best in us. And he said, that's where we're going. People signed on. NASA became effective. What about Martin Luther King? I have a dream. I mean, just those couple words cast a vision that was so amazing. We got to keep it alive. Leaders take us somewhere. So in your leadership area, in my leadership area, I always have to ask myself, where are you taking others? Do they even know? People will follow you if you give them a reason. And if I give them a reason, where are we taking them if they sign on? Next item. I do have a lot of military influence, I'll admit. Clear standards and expectations. Have you ever worked with a leader with very clear standards and expectations who will let you know what they are and when you've missed them? I know it sounds a little bit demanding, and they can be a little bit demanding, but have you ever worked with someone who has not made it clear what their standards or expectations are, and if you're meeting them? I'll always take the leader with clear standards and expectations. People live up to the expectations that are given to them, whether they're high or low. If they're clear, they'll meet them. And I think we learn that. I have learned it in different ways as well. When I was not clear, I never got the results that I'd hoped for. Basic training in almost every military branch turns out perfect cadets or perfect service members at the end of the 12 weeks. And I don't know of any other organization that really does it like that. It doesn't map so well, I'll admit, to the civilian world, but it shows to me that when we're clear about what we expect and where the standards are, people meet them and they appreciate the clarity. So, what are your standards in whatever area of life that you lead? Do others know them? And are you communicating them clearly? Last of the 3 items for great leadership that I'll share. It's about caring. We talked about vision, we talked about having clear standards, but what about caring, or the heart? This scene that this slide was from, in Hoosiers, Gene Hackman, the coach, final game of the year, gets up there and says to the team, I love you guys. And I think that just kind of summarizes everything right there. It's about loving the people that you serve and caring for them, not just as players, but as humans. What does it mean to care for them? Well, let's go back to the movie Hoosiers. Was Gene Hackman a soft coach? He was pretty tough on the kids. And you have to ask yourself, what does the definition of care mean, of loving someone? Does it mean that we make it soft and easy for them? I think we try to set them up for success as much as possible, but without taking their responsibilities away from them. In other words, we have to make the players tough enough and strong enough and high-performing enough so that they can be successful in whatever they're supposed to do. And I catch myself quite often being a little bit soft on them because I don't want them to go through some of the things that I had to go through. I don't want them to stay up all night struggling through some problem. But unfortunately, those were the things that made me, well, that gave me great skill. So maybe they have to endure that journey as well. Caring for people doesn't mean we make it too easy for them. We help develop them. As another example, think about a great teacher that you had in college or high school or anywhere, a great mentor. Were they the easiest on you? For me, they were probably the most brutal. I think they cared for me enough to make me do things right. So do people know that you care, that you value them, and that you want them to be successful? And how can you express that? That's a challenge. I still work through it all the time. I catch myself saying, you're being too soft again. It's a journey. I'm going to talk about this in another way, through a little bit of a story. I heard this in the military, and it has explained to me leadership the best way as possible. A tale of three leaders. So imagine a team in some faraway galaxy. They have a leader. The leader is demanding, always demands great results. It's all about the results, and nothing is ever good enough. It's always about the numbers. We might experience some of these things in the workplace, and the truth is that some of these leaders actually do succeed for a while until they don't succeed, until they burn enough people out, or they hurt morale so much that the team can't be successful anymore. And when that happens, the leader has to be dismissed. And that's what happened with this team. Then leader number 2 came in. Leader number 2 was a course correction on leader number 1. Sensing morale was low, the leader tried to build morale by taking it easy on everybody, relaxing standards and saying, it's okay. I just want you to be happy. Maybe donuts and pizza started to get brought in. It improved morale, but not performance. Next thing you know, the team is struggling to survive or meet its mission. People suffer, maybe some people get let go. This leader actually did damage, although it improved morale briefly. Then came in, maybe not a drill instructor, but a third type of leader that sat somewhere in the middle. This leader brought back standards and said, we have to do these things to be successful. We have to start paying attention to the little things. And the members of the team said, ooh, I think we got that first type of leader again. But there was a difference. That leader cared. That individual started caring about the individuals, started having one-on-one conversations, building relationships, and making sure that they were successful in their jobs and successful in life. Making sure that they were equipped to do the little things that help them be successful. And that was the difference. It's not just a fictitious example. This was done at Ford. If you like business books, read Alan Mulally's, the book about Alan Mulally, American Icon, great case study in organizational turnaround. His philosophy is 2 things, love and accountability. That's it. Love the team members, instill enough accountability so that things get done. Accountability does not need to be a painful thing. So the gist and the lesson of all that, great leaders care enough about others to hold them to high standards, to help them develop and grow. They don't sacrifice relationships for results, and they won't sacrifice results for relationships. That's the balance. And that's the thing I think takes a lifetime to learn. The final thing I'll say, wherever you are, whether it's Rotary leadership, leadership in work, or maybe you're thinking about it, I think there's a calling that we have. The world is calling us in some way to lead. Patrick Lencioni, many people know him from the 5 dysfunctions of a team. He writes quite a few books, they're all great. He wrote an epilogue in an article called The Ministry of Management, and where he talked about how it was such a shame that people didn't get into more giving roles, such as teaching or being in the clergy. Instead, so many of us just became managers, as he said. And then he realized, but you know what? When you're in management and leadership, you're actually doing something quite incredible. And he said, by helping people find engagement in their work and helping them succeed in whatever they're doing, a manager can have a profound impact on the emotional, financial, physical, and spiritual health of workers and their families. And that is divine. If that's not giving, then what is? And I have to say, I think he's right. It's a shame that we don't realize that leadership and management are such great undertakings and activities because of the impact that we can have on others. And I think that's a good place for me to stop. If you're looking for a book, it is short, sweet, and complete, The Secret by Mark Miller and Ken Blanchard. You can probably read it in an hour or two. I want to thank you for the opportunity to share a few words today and to be here with you. And I wish you the best. Thank you.
Just make sure to thank you.
Harold, thank you. Oh, thank you very much. I mean, some people seem to be born leaders, but most leaders are built. And we all become leaders as we go forward, and it's so important here in Rotary. But it's certainly a skill that can be learned and developed over time.